Good evening, adventurers, and welcome to today's episode of Goodberry Cafe, which is the little warm cafe where everyone is welcome to come in and pull up a chair. Today, we're serving up a cup of inspiration, so I hope that you will come in and stay a while. My name's Jem, and I'm your host here. For anyone who is new at Goodberry Cafe, this is an interview show where I chat with guests about who have their variety of geeky, nerdy interests, hobbies, and passions about all the things that they do, the things that they love, the things that they create, and the communities they're a part of, and how all of those things help affect them and others positively. This show is a warm, safe, inviting space where we invite you, our listeners, to learn about these various hobbies and activities and maybe just find and learn about a new adventure for you to try out as well. So, we have a special episode today. I get to interview our very own fearless leader, our dungeon master on Forging Fates, and our CEO of New Age Geeks, Joe, as we talk about his journey with D&D and starting this channel and our actual play show. If you haven't already checked it out, Forging Fates is every other Monday on this channel at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. So normally every Monday where I'm not here hosting Goodberry Cafe. So that means we'll be back after our little break next week. So I hope that you'll tune in for our next adventure. So Joe, thank you so much for joining me today and hopping on. I'm excited to flip the script a little bit and have you in the hot seat for once.
Thank you for
Uh,
having me. Excited.
Before we get into the questions, would you mind just introducing yourself and telling anyone listening a little bit about you?
What else is there to say after that amazing intro? I'm Joe. You can call me Joe. I typically go by Joe. What else? I run this channel. Um, I think that's pretty much it. I don't have a lot going on. I'm not an interesting person. It's gonna be a short interview, folks.
Well, thank you, Joe, and I'm happy that you're willing to join me today. So, I do want to start at the beginning because I know that you are our DM, but I personally don't know how long you've been doing this whole D&D thing. So, where does D&D start for you?
This is actually a long story. So when I first started playing D&D, I was in 6th grade, and it was back in 1952. Um, I I forget my friend's name, but like I was sleeping over his house one night, and like his sister, who was a little bit older, she had like the classic red box D&D. So she was like, "You want to play D&D?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." No idea what it was. So we played like some bullshit game for a few hours, and that was the first time I ever played D&D. You fast forward a little bit to like 9th grade, I think it was, and this young fucking dummy. There's gonna be a lot of cursing in this episode. I'm just putting it out there to begin with. Sorry, everyone. Um, but uh, like first year in high school, trying to figure out like what I'm gonna be doing. I go to FBLA. I don't know if you guys have, if that's like a universal thing. Future Business Leaders of America.
Oh, yeah.
So I show up in this club like first week of school, like, oh, I need to find a club. This seems easy at low impact club. And I heard some people a little bit older than me talking about D&D, like setting up a campaign. So I just butt myself into their conversation. And like, oh, I play D&D. Meanwhile, the only fucking experience I have is
Sixth grade.
one night in 6th grade. But I'm like, yeah, I know how to play D&D, and fucking lo and behold, like I ended up playing like 2 or 3 years with this group, like in a campaign that just crazy fucking campaign. Great DM, Adam Hunter. I still never forget his name, but like it was a lot of fun. And then like throughout all this is when I met Donald. So like we used to. This is so fucking corny. We in like our lunch breaks, I would come up with like stories every lunch period, every day of like, and we would just like make up fucking stories. and it was like bullshit D&D. Like, oh, I'm gonna do this. Oh, okay. There's no dice. This is just my whims deciding what we're gonna do, and that's yeah, that's how it all started. And then when I ended up joining the Marines, I tried to get a game going. I talked to a few people, like got like maybe 1 or 2 sessions going, but it kind of like my D&D life kind of died down in there. And then when did Critical Role start? 5, 6 years ago now.
8 years ago.
Eight
Oh,
years.
8 or 9, something.
Time
Yeah.
is a soup.
Yeah. Time is weird soup. Yeah.
That was weird
Thanks,
soup.
Fern.
Um, so I ended up catching Critical Role on this channel. Kind of funny. Got dived into Critical Role. Ended up fucking watching the entirety of every episode thus far. But like maybe a year into Critical Role's timeline, I was like, man, I got that bug again. I was like, I want to play fucking D&D. I want to play some D&D. So I ended up getting Donald, and 2 other friends of mine from back in the day to start a D&D campaign. This game went on for 3 or 4 years, and it swelled from like 3 people to 7 at one time, and like we ended up like finally like locking in a good team of 5. The game went for like years though, and then that ended up finishing. I little time like took like a year off from D&D, got another game going. Nothing really happened in there. Like it ended up kind of like just kind of puttering out, and then with COVID and everything, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. Ended up finding a uh, uh, a D&D group online, which online D&D has never been anything I did. But I was like, I need to fucking do something. I gotta do something here. So ended up doing that, and it was with it was like a subgroup of the Phoenix, which is the organization we're teamed up with, and it was their Dungeons and Dog Tags D&D group. So it was all
Mhm.
veterans that had were playing D&D, and that was all right. Like I don't love like those pickup D&D games, so there wasn't a ton for me there, but did that for a little bit. And the person who like ran D&D for Phoenix was just putting it out there as like any DMs. I was like, I DM a little bit. I don't love DMing. I like DMing, but um there's a lot of emotional investment for me when I DM. So but I was like, I can do it, but if I'm gonna do it, I want to do it big. Like I want to do like a fucking live stream. I want to go big, and that is how we got to this fucking point. That is how I
Oh.
ended up starting a Twitch channel and getting way in over my head.
So had you DM'd before Forging Fates and before New Age Geeks?
Yeah, I DM'd that
Oh, the
I
Dungeons and
DM'd.
Dogs.
No, I didn't DM for Dungeons and Dog Tags, but I did DM the like those bullshit lunch things, and then I did
Mhm.
the 3-year long game. I DM'd
Oh,
that whole
you were
whole
the
time.
DM for that
Yeah,
game.
yeah, I was the DM.
Oh, okay. Uh, so what made you want to do like the New Age Geeks channel as a whole?
Ah, that's another fucking story. So I ended up been wanting to like do something like with live streaming, but I just don't really have the time for a lot of stuff, just the way my schedule is right now. But I ended up talking to Donald. I was like, I want to do something. I don't want to just do me because no one wants to see just me on camera. I'm not that interesting of a person. And he was like, "Oh, I'll fucking do it with you. Let's go. So me and Donald like ended up being the one that started this all off. So I think we did 1 episode of live streaming before anything, just of us playing like a game, and it went terribly. Like our setup was trash, and it just nothing worked. But that was literally like the
First.
same time as I was coming up with like the Dungeons and Dog Tags thing, and like it was just ended up being like this amalgamation of 2 ideas coming together, and
Mhm.
that's how we got here.
The curse begins.
Yes,
Oh,
this long
the tech
fucking
curse.
uh,
And thank you, Anon, for the bits. Super appreciate it.
yes, thank you.
And so in your discussion, with Donald about the channel, what were some of the original ideas you had? Did you just want it to be like a D&D live stream, or did you have other ideas?
When it was just me and Donald, like it wasn't ever going to be a live stream thing because I just don't
Mhm.
like. I don't enjoy. I always prefer the table when I play
Okay.
D&D. Like that's the way I've always done it. And don't get me wrong, like the game we have now is fucking phenomenal. We have so many great players. Like everyone's bringing something really big to the table, and it's great. But there's so much. There's that nuance you get at the table when you're like playing at the table with people that you just there's missing from the online game. So that wasn't something I was really interested in live streaming.
Mhm.
And now here we are. But so it was just going to be like gaming to begin with, gaming
Mhm.
like geek culture shit. Like the new age geeks idea was there because he had an old handle that was his old handle was always New Age Knight when he played all his games, and I was Arrogant Geek. So that was Donald's idea to come up with that. I give Donald a lot of credit. That is his idea to come up with the New Age Geeks thing because he is as crazy as his mind is, he is the creative one between the two of us.
I was gonna ask where the name came from, but you answered that already. So how did you so you were coming up with the idea of doing it big, doing a big game. Um, and how did you make that jump to starting the audition process and like figuring out the kinks of how to make it happen?
So it also like we started with like talking to the Phoenix. Like
Hmm.
I started going up like the different levels of like meeting. I met with like their D&D person, then I met with like their internet person, and then we met with like the or whatever the fuck is up with that, like their budget person, right? But I went through all this process, and like we went back and forth on some ideas whether we were going to do something on their channel, like make a channel for them specifically, or do our own channel and they like kind of like support us. And so obviously we went with the latter. Um, but that's how it kind of started. Like it's like I didn't want to do something small. I didn't want to just run pickup games because that's just not fun for me at all. There's no like connection there. There's no nothing for me to really enjoy there. So I was like, I want to do I want to bring in the ideas of the Phoenix like this. Like we can play D&D without like everything being in a tavern, everything being like, oh, I'm gonna drink, fuck, and smoke everything in the fucking world, and that being the entirety of what the game focuses on. So I liked that idea. So it's kind of why we ended up working together and like on what we end up being now.
Hmm.
I feel like that was a ramble, and I don't know if any of that made sense.
No, it did. Um, so I saw the post personally in a Facebook group advertising the show and asking for people who are interested in auditioning. So how did you come up with that whole audition process?
Oh, that was a nightmare and a half.
Oh no.
Um, like it was, I had fun, but there was a lot of uh, kinks, I guess is the way to put it, along the way of that. Like, because I knew we needed people that are going to be number one, able to be on camera.
Hmm.
Like they're comfortable being in front of camera because that's not for everyone. Like you can run an online game and not be okay being in like a live stream thing
Hmm.
and all the extra shit that goes with that. So I wanted to like start that baseline. Like I need people that are comfortable here, period. And then a lot of other things came into. Why are we dropping so many frames here? Dropping a lot of frames, folks, and I don't know why.
And the curse of our
Yep,
tech
never,
issues.
nothing, ever, nothing's ever easy.
It started with you.
Yep.
So now we know.
Sorry, I just make sure this is okay before we get too deep into it. If the frames are getting crazy, folks, let me know because I will adjust fire on making this work. Um, Sorry, you're gonna just repeat that question for me one more
What was the last one that I
time. Audition process, I think it
said?
was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to get a group of people that like because the way I always picture D&D is like, you can play D&D any way you want. Like
Mhm.
if you want to play the cool, like just fuck around, murder a hobo, joke around kind of game, that's cool. Not the kind of game I like to run, and I want to make sure like I like I'm huge on the collaborative storytelling elements of D&D. Like I want like us to build the story together. It's not me trying to like recite you a fucking story that you just roll dice and play along with. Like I want people who like to give me a strong backstory, like give me elements that I can weave into the story. Like I have my main line that I've already have the main beats essentially of what world events are going to happen,
Mhm.
and then I wanted to take all of my players into that and flesh those, like have the lines come off of that. So that was what I was going for with. I wanted to find players that wanted to play that kind of game, like I don't know if you ever played Mass Effect, but like I always kind of build my plot lines like the Mass Effect game. Like there's a main plot line, and then you can go and do every character's side missions, and like if you do them all, they help you in the final event. And they're all kind of like some of it will tie together to the main plot line, but some of it is just like to help build the team together. So I wanted to find players that were really that wanted to that kind of D&D.
Mhm.
Did that go easily? Absolutely not.
Mhm.
Did I
uh,
have people try and gatekeep me, be like, why are you starting this channel? Who are you? Like, motherfucker, I'm the one starting the channel. That's who I am. Fuck, if you want to do it, do it yourself.
that's weird.
Yeah, it was a rough process getting this channel started.
uh, so for the audition process, you had how many one shots?
Four or five.
Yeah, something
Forget.
like that.
Yeah.
How was that? Did you come up with that one shot yourself?
Yeah. I just kind of made that up off the top of my head. And like the first group of people, I hadn't DM'd in like a year, so it was not a great game. Like not my best showing, but each game got better and better in my point of view. It kind of helped me get off that ring rust. So
Uh-huh.
by the end of it, I felt pretty confident with like I felt like I was back in the game.
Yeah. How was it doing the same one shot five
It was
times?
so interesting because no two of those one shots went the same way. Like like some of them, like, oh, that's kind of they did certain similar things, but like for those of you that didn't play in it, like the goal was the team never found out until the very end, but they went to go steal an Aesir child, like an Aesir spirit child, and it went. There's like 4 or 5 ways that could go, and every single group did a different thing. It was great. It was really enjoyable for me to watch the moral dilemmas, and I felt like it gave my players a good idea of how I'm going to run my game. Like there's no right answer, but like there's the moral quandaries, if you will.
Yeah. And so from those one shots, then you had to actually break it down and make a decision. Was that difficult for you?
Yeah, that wasn't easy. Lot went into that. Like, it was just so much that went into figuring out who actually was going to be on the channel. Like, it's like too much to even describe. Like, because I think my number one thing was like, if someone tells someone else what to do on stream, that was like a huge red flag. Like, don't tell other people how to play their character. It's a very simple fucking rule. Like, it's not your character. If that's the way the person wants to play it, if they're being a dick, they're being a dick, and like that's something I took into account too. Like, you can do whatever you want, but if you're being a fucking jerk off,
Hmm.
that's whatever. That's another
Yeah.
fucking red flag. But just don't tell people what the fuck to do. Like, it's not hard. Let people fucking play D&D the way I want to play D&D.
Well, then what's your take on metagaming?
In regards to what?
Like,
Like, because there's a lot of ways metagaming goes.
okay. Well, then what do you think of when I say metagaming?
Knowing when I think metagaming, like knowing a troll's weakness is fire. Like that's meta. If you do that, that's metagaming. That's not okay. But I don't. What do you mean when you say metagaming?
I guess I take it more as, yeah, that knowing a troll's weakness to fire and using that in game when your character wouldn't have that knowledge. But I think it's like making plans or discussions like out of character is how I see metagaming.
There can be a time when you do that to save time at the table.
Hmm.
Like if you and the group want to talk outside of text, be like, hey, listen, we need to do this, how we want to go about it. And then when it comes to in-game, you just like, okay, I think we should do this. Yeah, that's a great idea. And moving on. I don't really consider that metagaming. I see that more as like good time management, because you can get caught in the weeds and like having your characters discuss what we're going to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the Critical Role, they spend whole
Yeah.
hours making a plan, and then everything goes to shit as soon as they apply the plan.
Like there's definitely a time where you like have the banter for your characters, but like there's also a time where like, all right, let's move forward with things. Let's not get so dragged down in the weeds of what this is going to be.
So as a DM, if you catch your players falling into that hole, how do you step in, or how do you keep the progression of the story going?
That's definitely something I'm not great with, because I love to hear like I love seeing my players in character. Like it's like a fucking drug for me. Like I love it. I want to eat it up. I love my characters enjoying their characters. But I've done it in this game so far a few times already. I'm like, all right, guys, what's the plan here? What do we want to do? Like, let's move on a little bit. Let's not get too caught up in it. And that's really the best you can do. And if the players decide that they would rather spend an hour and a half, if this is what they're getting fun out of, who am I really to like be like, you're not having the right kind of fun?
2-hour shopping episode.
That's what you want to do. I'll come up with 6 voices, I guess, on the spot. I'll get my random name generator out and we'll fucking do this. Get you a floating orb that you draw a face on.
Yes, Jimmy Jim. So you mentioned that for our story, you already have pretty much the main beat in your head.
I have my main world events lined up.
Yeah. So is there a way, without giving any spoilers, you can tell the viewers about our story or the world we're playing in so far?
Okay. So for viewers who have watched Critical Role, there will be elements that show up that you can trace back to that campaign 1 story and see how things have grown out of that. There's going to be no direct connections. Like you're not going to fight. I'm spoiler fucking alert. You're not going to fight Thordak or the Briarwoods or any of those things. Right. But
my girl.
Things that those entities have done or have come from or been a part of, those elements may show up in some way and may influence the world you're in now. And there may or may not have been hints of the overall story already in what you guys have played. Like, you guys are still very much in the prologue episode.
Yeah.
There's been no major storyline elements so far.
Yeah. Like, I am watching or listening to season 1 of Critical Role myself right now, like concurrently. I think I just hit like episode 100.
Okay.
And the Myriad came up in Critical Role, and I was like, oh,
you motherfuckers.
Yeah. Oh, that's who I'm dealing with. Yeah, that was cool. Why did you choose to put us in Exandria, Salisbury?
Because I felt like it was a good business decision. The book had just come out, and it seemed like a good way to get that clickbait on the title. Sorry. Plus, it's easier than come up with a word by yourself when you have a world book in your hands.
Mm-hmm. True. And the adventure that you have created for us, other than like Critical Role, is there anywhere else where you got your inspiration from?
I am probably one of the least creative people you'll ever meet.
You keep putting yourself down, sir.
So everything is from something else. There's not an original thought in my head.
I mean, if like in reality, all art is
Right.
not purely original. Everything is inspired by other things. So,
Like I'll watch an anime and I'm like, oh god, how can I use this? Because that'll be the only thing that sticks on my mind for a week and a half, and then it influences the story. And it doesn't help that I watch shit and it's like the ideas that I have change week to week. What's the flavor of the week this week?
Hmm.
So that's one issue I have, is like making sure the theme is consistent along the episodes instead of
Hmm.
like slingshotting back and forth.
uh, I was just thinking back to you. I'm gonna need some positive affirmations from
Oh,
you
stop!
before the end of this
That's not how it works.
interview.
That's not how I work.
um, so going back to just you starting to DM, were you? Can you remember the first time you DM?
I mean, it was legitimately at like the lunch table in 10th grade with Donald, like fucking come up with bullshit.
Okay, then more officially DM.
That would probably be the 3 year long game.
Hmm.
Yeah, that would probably be the first time I ran like a real game. Like I ran bullshit little things, but it was nothing like that. That was the first time I like really wrote a campaign, like had a you know, long term story that kind of worked out, which
You're,
will also influence this game.
ooh.
So it's literally only like uh nostalgic for Donald, but characters from that will show up in this game too.
Do you remember what it was like jumping into the DM seat?
Um, it's it's. I mean, it's the first time you do it, it's always going to be terrible. Like you're gonna hate everything you did. There's nothing. You're not gonna like a single thing you did. You're gonna be like, I fucked that up. That sucked. That was fucking stupid. Why'd I do that? But your players are gonna think it's awesome. There's
Mhm.
like they may be like, yeah, they may give you a little constructive criticism, be like, yeah, I mean, we didn't need to do this every time, or you're right that that seemed a little weird, but your players are gonna have a fucking blast. Um, I guess this turned into more advice channel. Um, but like, you're gonna be nervous, you're gonna hate everything you do, but it's as someone who doesn't like DMing, but knows I'm a better DM than I am a player. Like, I'm a terrible player. I am like, because I know all the fucking rules at this point. You know what I mean? So like, I make the bard who fucking can set off a nuke, stay invisible the whole time, and jump out the window with the item he was supposed to have. Something I've done. So just have fun with it. You know what I mean? Like, enjoy being a DM when you can. I don't know what the hell I don't know what I'm a rambler. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about 90% of the time.
So as a player, then are you somebody who's trying to break the game, like make a broken wizard or something?
I don't want to, but I always do it. Like I'll make the ranger who's like suspicious of fucking everyone. It'll be the guy that shows up and like gives you the quest. I'm like, did you fucking do this? Did you cause this problem? You trying to trick us into like I'm a terrible fucking player because I'm suspicious of everything. Terrible player.
Well, I hope to see you. I know I missed out on seeing you as a player, but I still hope to see you as a player sometime.
Oh God, I feel bad for you if you DM me.
I mean, that's a seat that I'm terrified to jump in, but excited. So hopefully soon.
It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. You get a lot of fun out of it, but don't be hard on yourself about it, because you'll be more hard on yourself than your players will be.
Yeah. I heard from someone else that it's like your players don't know that you fucked
Right.
up. Like
Yeah.
only you
no
do.
fucking idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Have you so then in your past game, or I guess now we had some newer players. How do you help newer players feel more comfortable playing?
When we're at the table, I will sit my most experienced player next to the new player.
Ooh.
Like, because if they have questions, they can easily just be like, how do I do this? Or, like they can have a conversation on the side and it's not disrupting at all. Like, you sit next to the experienced player, let them help you. I'll also tell them, do whatever the fuck you want to do. Like, this is your character. You're playing in this world. You are, we'll figure out the rules as they come. Just, I will give them the basic rundowns. Like, pretty much everything's gonna be done with a D20.
Mhm.
So if I say roll a whatever check, roll the D20 and find the fucking stat that says that. And that's pretty much all the prep I give them. Because, I mean, the rules you'll learn as they come up. If I'm going to sit here and just spout off rules to you, they're going to just fucking hit against your face and not sink in at all. So let's just learn the rules as we go. I'm more concerned with you having fun starting out as opposed to getting bogged down with bullshit rules. Because we're going to change the rules as they go anyways.
Really cool.
Right. It's like, none of it fucking matters. It's like, whose line is it anyways? The points are made up and the rules don't matter. So just that's I guess the way I would introduce new people is like, just let them fucking dive in and have fun. Don't stress out about fucking what an armor class is. We'll figure it out.
That's actually your thing of placing them next to an experienced player is actually a thing that people do in the classroom, like teachers do in the classroom when they're grouping up students. It's funny. It's effective.
Yeah.
So what happens if you start noticing that like some of your players aren't stepping up to the interactions or role playing or seeming like they're not as included or shy to jump into the story?
So I've had players like that before. Like I had a player that just was not interested in interacting in the story at all. She just sat there and didn't even want to roll dice. She was just sitting there to sit there. It seemed like I would tailor story elements around their character, like set up things for their character to have emotional moments too, and just kind of like that. If you're trying to get someone involved, that's what I would say to do. Like, try and bring them into the story. Ask them questions like, okay, but what does your character think? What is your character thinking? And like, you throw the line out as much as you can. Some people aren't going to pick up that line. Like some people are there just to listen to a story, and if you're cool with them just sitting there and listening and like being an extra fucking person who can absorb hit attacks and deal out a little bit of extra damage, cool. Or it may be time to ask that person to leave because you don't have a responsibility to, how do I want to word this? You have a responsibility as the DM to make sure people are having a good time. But you also need to be responsible for your own happiness. And if this person is not helping contribute to your happiness, and if them sitting there is detracting from your creative mind, you need to ask them to leave because, it's just going to bring your overall game down.
Yeah. I think you also have, like you said, you have a responsibility to your players too.
Right.
To keep the game enjoyable.
Yeah. And if this person's just sitting there like, okay, I hit him with my club. Okay.
Hey.
Cool. All right. Roll attack, I guess.
Have you ever had to ask someone to leave your table before?
Oh, I've kicked, I think, like I said, my group went from 3 to 7 to 5. So,
I mean, that could be like a scheduling thing.
No, I kicked people out of my games. I think I kicked 4 people out total. 2 players I kicked out because like I had built this whole like in that long game I literally wrapped everything into my players' backstories. So like the lieutenants of the main bed, like each of them had like a connection in some way to my players' backstories. So ended up being Donald's character and one of their players. They ended up being half brothers, and their dad was one of the lieutenants for the bad guy. So it ended up being like they didn't know who their dad was. Like one of them had a little bit of history with him. The other one like didn't know him at all. So they ended up finding him and like ended up being like in his camp. Like he brought them in, like had them all lined up, and he was having a conversation from like this throne to his two sons, and two of the other players were like, okay, well, I'm going to attack. Like I had this emotional moment set up to like pay off for like a year's worth of plot. A year's worth of plot line for my two players to like really like have an emotional moment with two of my players, and you just fucking shit on it by like. And I had already spoken to these players before because I do milestone experience, and they were like, how many cats do I have to kill to level up? I'm like, that's not the kind of game we're running. Like we're more like, you know, we try and more have an experience, and that's how you level up. And we're like, okay, but if I kill like this person, can I get experience points? I'm like, no, it's not. So they ended up just like attacking the fucking guy to advance the storyline. So that ended that game. I was like, all right, you're good. You don't need to come back. We're done.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah, that pissed me off. So
yeah, I've played games with players like that before. It's not fun. It's not fun for the other people at the table either.
No, it's like, what's the point in shitting on someone else's experience in that way? Like, you got nothing experience-wise besides, imaginary fucking experience points to level up. Whereas we could have had like a fun moment that brought the team together, or like let this person experience a story element that they were really interested in exploring. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
I like that you enjoy backstories and you do try to like weave that in. So how much preparation do you do before a campaign? Like what's that look like for you?
Almost nothing.
Really?
Yeah, I have, like I said, I have my main storyline. I'll be like, I have like my little ideas, like, oh, I would really love for this to be something in the campaign, and then I'll think backwards on that, be like, okay, so how do we get to this? And then I'll go, my little pieces. But that's pretty much where my pre-backstory stuff ends. Like, once I get the backstories, then I'm like, the fucking universe explodes, and I'm like, okay, I link this to here, I pull this here, this person's going to do this thing, and then there'll be offshoots like, oh, your backstory isn't going to connect, but it's going to help you guys have this emotional moment, so I'm going to put this here. Yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm a terrible DM. Not a lot of planning going on here. I use and abuse my players' backstories.
No, I think that's awesome because I've played with other DMs or I've seen other DMs that are like, backstories are great, but it's optional if I'm gonna incorporate any of this. So you shouldn't have any expectation that we're gonna solve any of your problems. Yeah.
That's every problem you give me. I'm like, what can I do with this? What am I gonna how am I gonna tear into? How am I gonna hurt you with this?
Daggers, isn't that the term? Like as a player, you want to give your DM like 7 daggers in your backstory.
I never heard that, but that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a theory. I don't know if somebody told me or if I read it somewhere, but yeah, it's like you want to have 7 daggers, or at least 7 to 12 daggers in your story that a DM could get you with somewhere in the story.
Oh, I don't know about that, but that's a great fucking saying.
So that's all pre-game stuff though. So what does your preparation look like before one of our sessions, like before next Monday when we play again?
Again, I'm a terrible DM. I don't have I'll try and listen to the last game, because like I said, I come up with my overall, like I have my overall arc, but I don't plan things out. Like the explosions. Let's talk spoilers for 2 games ago's episode.
Should have watched it by now.
Right. If you're watching this and you ain't watched that, like, come on. I knew. So the Myriad was going to attack locations that the class had some involvement in. So the only reason Marie Lynn's was targeted was because the class ended up showing up there. So they thought it was a class location. So I knew they were going to blow up class locations. You guys don't even know how many other places got blown up yet. Like spoiler alert, more places were blown up that night.
No? Yeah.
So, like, it's not like a, you know, a huge spoiler. But so if you guys were there or not, Marie Lynn's was gonna get blown up. So that's like what the hell was I saying? I forget things easy. Where was I
Well,
going with this?
how do you prepare for a session?
Oh.
And then, yeah.
So I know, like, timeline wise, I want these things to happen. Like, this is going to happen here no matter what my players do. The rest of it, I kind of let you guys determine how that's going to flow. That's why I'm big on, like, okay, guys, what do you plan on doing next session? Because that helps me plan a little bit.
Mhm.
But the way I prep pretty much is like, I'll set up the world and just let you guys play in it. And like, you guys will determine like the day-to-day things. And if you guys decide to engage in the storyline I prepared, cool. That storyline is going to happen on its own no matter what. If you guys decide to make your own storyline and go on its own separate way, cool. I will adjust fire and make a new storyline in that direction. And, you know, if this storyline dies off or just ends up being relegated to some background thing, that's fine with me too. But I don't like get into the nitty gritty of like, okay, at an hour into the campaign, an hour into this episode, I'm going to have this person show up. Like, I let you guys pretty much determine how the sessions are going to go. Which sometimes doesn't always work out because you guys end up meandering a bit, but that's something I got to work on.
All parties meander. We're gonna meander. That's just a given.
Yeah. Just a matter of dropping that the hook every once in a while and making sure that's out there for you guys to bite on.
Or ignore. Sometimes.
Yeah, or ignore.
So, the way that you DM, it sounds like you're fairly confident in your ability to improv on the fly.
Not at all. Not at all.
Because that's what I'm most scared of.
Improv.
That's what I'm most scared of, Liz, is how am I going to adapt to what my players are going to do if I'm not prepared, like fully prepared?
Oh, it's not a matter that I'm like confident of in my improv. It's the matter is that what's the worst that happens? They don't like the DM style I have, and they don't want to play D&D with me. I'll find someone else who likes it. I mean, like, either you guys help me make the story, or we don't play. I mean, I don't know how else to go about it.
And does the ability to improv get better as you DM more?
I mean, I want to say yes. I don't know if it has for me, but I want to say yes.
Yeah, that is where I'm most scared, I think, about stepping into that seat.
I mean, every bad guy voice I does is Russian. I can't I can't stop it. It just happens. Grew up in the 80s. I don't know what to tell you.
Do you practice voices?
No, I try to. Like, I'm like, oh, I should practice voices, and then I'll forget that I said I was going to practice voices. So I just end up not. Again, terrible DM. There's so much more I could do.
So thinking back to how our story started, we had two different session zeros. Why did you choose to do it that way?
I did 3 session zeros.
3 session zeros. Yes, I was like, I can't count.
I wanted to get, because I didn't want everyone coming in individuals, just because for stream's sake, it makes it too, drawn out. Like, all right, I got to bring each character into the scenario. So I figured I'd at least get into 3 groups, so we can do it, 3 little clips. So that was part of it. I wanted to sprinkle in some, like, I wanted to sprinkle in some like stuff that possibly could happen into those things to like have you guys like get a sense of what the games are going to look like. And it was more just to get you guys comfortable with your characters before we really jumped into on-stream stuff, because no one wants to start a character on stream, and I'll be like, I don't know what I'm supposed to sound like.
Yeah.
Who am I?
Yeah. I know Critical Role does some pretty extensive, like
Yeah,
pre pre-stream stuff. Sometimes totally changes their character.
yeah. I mean, that would be ideal, but we are an online D&D stream, so we are limited in our capabilities.
hmm Is there anything that has surprised you or caught you off guard so far on Forging Fates?
I don't know if it's surprised, but how great each of the players are. Because, I mean, we only had realistically one session for me to get how you're going to be as a player.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like extrapolated from what I saw from that game on all of you. And I mean, to say I'm pleasantly surprised as to how committed every player is to their character would be an understatement, because you guys are easily some of the best players I've ever had, like hands down.
Aw.
I like you guys.
Is there anything that we've done so far that you've been like,
I mean, nothing crazy. But I mean, this is a DM problem. It's not even a me problem. It's like the little bit of meandering we had. Maybe I think it was episode 4.
what did we do there?
Nothing. Like, it was a whole episode of nothing. So, like, but that's, again, that's a me problem. That's a me as a DM not taking the reins and moving things forward. So players are going to want to play. You know, I mean, I can't. It's not a. You know, I got nothing bad to say, guys. You guys are great. Love you guys.
And then thinking ahead for our story, what would you like to see, or what are you excited to see more of?
Oh, my number one, like, DM dream is to make a player cry, like have an emotional cry.
Yeah.
Like Sam Riegel episode 100, was it 113? And the second to last episode. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm not there yet.
All right. Second. Sam Riegel, second to last episode. If I can have a player have that emotional of a reaction, I'm good. That's all I need. I'm good. That the whole campaign's a success. I don't care how it went. I'm happy. It's just like helping a player build enough of an emotional connection to their character that the decisions the character makes are emotional decisions is fucking literally the only reason I like DMing, because it means that we've built a good story together. Like, I was able to present enough interesting things for you to connect with your character enough, to engage enough in the story, to, yeah, you know where I'm going with this.
I, as somebody who likes making art that makes people cry and was also just successful again this past weekend, I understand that.
Yeah.
So what's been your favorite moment of our story so far? I know we're still in the prologue episode, but we've had some really great moments. Yes, we got you loud and clear. Thank you, Kuma. I told you we are cursed. I blame Joe.
Just dropping out on me.
Now that we know that your first stream went cursed, I think the curse still continues.
Yep, it's all me, guys. I'm sorry. What was the last thing? Maybe close it out and start it over. Don't let me write that because they can't hear us.
Ooh. Yeah. Still buffering for people. It's not buffering on my end, but ooh. All right, the closing it out and starting over seems to have worked.
Okay.
Sorry, put on animators for fun.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I got it.
Yay!
All right.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah. All right. Well, that all, everyone. What was the last thing everyone heard?
That's a good question. Chat, we need you.
Help me.
Help me,
Help me, Obi-Wan
Obi-Wan.
Kenobi. Love you.
Yeah, chat, did you hear the Gormrog statement? Or
Yeah.
was it just a Clover statement?
Oh, God, I got... Making someone cry was the last thing she heard.
Oof.
So Taz missed my entire gushing about her.
Aw. No. Okay, so yeah, they didn't.
All right,
hear.
start over again. I'll fucking sit here and praise Taz again. I think she just wanted to hear it again.
Oh no, yeah, they didn't hear
All right.
anything in that. All right,
Gosh,
dang.
dag on it. All right, we'll start again. All right. I don't really have a favorite moment of like in the game so far. I have like as like a whole, I've enjoyed different experiences that players have had. I'm trying to remember what I said. So for like Clover, she has been, the way she's written her character and the way she plays her has just been so fucking awesome to have like her experiencing the world in this like new way. It's like she really brought in this like, and that's not to say anything about it. Like there's no spoilers as far as like people's backstories here. I'm just commenting on the way they're presenting the character in game. But the way Clover is like interacting with the world, like this pair of fresh eyes, like everything's new, and like she's experiencing these things for the first time, and it's just Taz has played her in such an amazing way that it's been such a pleasure to watch that character and everything that character does. As far as Gormrog goes, like the things we know about Gormrog already is like he is this academy person, and the role he has kind of shifted into in like wrangling cats and herding cats here that's been a lot of fun to watch, and like how he has changed from the way he like initially pictured himself in his backstory, and like the perspective he takes in his backstory is one thing, but the way he's like interacted with the world has been so fun to see too. Finnick and everything we've seen from her so far, like she's already said this, we spent a lot of time making that backstory, so I know a lot of the things that are to come and that have happened with her character. So how she has played Finnick has been just so fun to watch, and like the way she's interpreting those things has been just so interesting for me to watch as like as a DM, into how I can tug on those different strings for her. And I mean, me and her ended up working together so much that like we came up with like this like stress meter essentially. So she'll have like a triggering event for her post-traumatic stress, and we'll roll on it, and if she fails so many times, like it has negative effects, and it's such a cool little like extra thing her characters. And like you with Whisper and the random rolling of your wild shapes, that is just so fucking cool. And it's such
lucky so far.
Oh yeah, you made it out so far pretty well so far. But again, like that's such a cool fucking thing that you've come up with to influence your character. And it, again, not into any spoilers, but like how that relates to your backstory and what all that means for you. It's just such a cool thing as a DM to be able to like play with you with, that it's really like fun for me to like be a part of that storytelling with you. And I mean, with the way Whisper interacts with the world and how she perceives things based off her backstory and how she kind of does all these things, it's just so cool and so interesting. And like when things start to come out about why she interprets things that way, it's going to be a real delight to like see how those things are naturally expressed. And Tristan, we don't have enough time with Tristan yet, so I know too much about his backstory too. He's another one I spent hours figuring it out with.
Dang.
But he things have been said so far that have kind of come out about his backstory that
Mhm.
are interesting, and I'm interested to see how all those things play out too.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you some questions that I also asked other cast members. But since you don't have a character, I thought of two of our most prominent NPCs so far. So
Okay.
if you could dream, if you,
Lyndon and Wendy.
yeah, exactly. Lyndon and Wendy. Uh, if there was live action, who would you cast
Oh
to
God.
play both of those?
Uh, Lyndon would be Tom Holland
Oh,
because I just love him so
oh, you're
much.
gonna make me have
I love him
an
so
actual
much.
crush on Lyndon.
uh, Wendy. I don't know. I don't have a good idea for Wendy. Like she's just like this e-girl. You just pick any fucking e-girl streamer, and that's who that is.
That is not what I was picturing for Wendy.
Oh really? Who do you picture for Wendy?
Oh, dude, I don't know. I would have to. I'm not good with names, so I would have to like deep. I'll get back to you on that. Yeah. I just have this image of Wendy in my head, and it definitely doesn't look like an e-girl. That's
Listen, man,
so interesting.
I love e-girls, man. E-girls ruin your life.
And then, are there any particular scenes that you would love to see fan art of so far?
Fucking God. I mean, the bomb.
Oh,
Them walking in on Lyndon
ah,
with the bomb. I think that would be just like there was so much emotion in that scene. I mean, Joe. I'll give Joe a fucking ton of credit there. He acted the shit out of that scene. Taz too, like that, both of them. Like, I mean, that was meant to get a reaction from both of them, but my God, did they both step up to the plate on that one? That was a great scene. Really
clip
enjoyed that.
that scene. Yeah, I have to
Um,
clip that scene and oh,
I don't know. I don't know what else. Like you know me. Like I said, I love the emotional part of it. So
mhm.
that's definitely the part that sticks out most.
Yeah, that was definitely a turning point to
Yeah,
a tone shift.
that
Um,
was the point of it. I mean, a lot
and
of
then,
again, people like I don't want people to think like I just do things willy nilly. Like there's a lot that went into me deciding to do that. Because like I said, I already was planning on blowing up Marie Lynn's based off some of the decisions you guys made beforehand. But there's so much that went into how that all would have how Lyndon wound up in that situation that there was a lot that led up to that moment. Plus, it was a payoff emotionally for everyone. Like Whisper,
mhm.
this was a person like she kind of had a crush on. You know, it's not a super emotional impact for her, but her, obviously Taz and uh, Joe, um, Finnick with the fire, and Gorenrod because it was his house essentially. So there's a lot that went into my decision on why that all went down the way it did.
Yeah, as a player and as my character, it helped me realize and see that, like, in a very real way, that our actions have consequences,
Yeah,
and like the little things that we're doing, that time is still moving even though
right.
we are not in that area, even if we're off doing other things.
Yeah,
So
that was the point of
yeah,
it.
yeah.
That was the point, is kind of like show you guys like the things you've done have real world consequences. Like you
Hmm.
deciding to evade the frog guy on the roof. Well, the last place he knew his teammate was going was Marie Lynn's.
Hmm.
He knows the place in Marie Lynn's where to go, so he's going to go back to that room. So seeing things not completed, he's going to complete them. Blah blah blah.
And so, looking ahead, other than making all of us cry,
Yep.
what's your goal for Forging Fates?
Oh God, I want us to, because I mean, let's be honest here. Like D&D streams are a dime a dozen at this point. Like Critical Role did something special, hit the iron, at the perfect time, and they're insanely successful. I don't ever see us getting to that point. As you know, don't get me wrong, I'd love to. I don't see that fucking happening. But I think we have a great opportunity to be a unique space where. So, how long have you been playing D&D?
Like a year before the pandemic started, so I guess 3 years now.
Okay, so not a ton of time, and I'm not trying to take away from that. D&D doesn't have the greatest fucking reputation with being a, this like inclusive space. We originally D&D players were shunned because we're fucking losers. Then, as things start to turn, now it's like, oh, you can't play because you're not like the way we are. I just want us all to fucking stop arguing about shit. Like, let's just sit down and play D&D. Like, it doesn't fucking matter what you believe or who you voted for or what your orientation is. Like, let's just fucking play D&D. Let's let all the real world shit step aside. Let's play some fucking D&D. We all got fucking brain problems. Trust me, got some fucking brain problems. D&D helps us fucking just not worry about it anymore. Let's just have play D&D, build the strong relationships with each other, find our own little fucking community where we can all just have fun. And if New Age Geeks is like able to do that and like able to bring people in from like everywhere, that's what I would want most. And if we can do some good by like helping people, that's would be making me really happy. Like the fact that we were able to raise $25 last month for the charity we did. I can't remember the alphabets right now. But like that's all that really matters to me. Like as long as we can do a little good, I'm good with that. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to be rich, but it's not really my primary concern. Doing a little good and meeting some good people.
I'm thinking about some of the things that you said about like D&D and just generally, I guess, tabletop role-playing games as a whole. Why do you think they have such a like unique ability to have these forms of connections or bring all of these people together? What is it about tabletop role-playing games that you think has that power?
Well, I mean, I've read some study like it activates the same emotional responses in your brain as like actually experiencing something. So I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not a fucking scientist, but the like that, I think that's one of the big parts as to why it helps like bring people actually together. Plus, you're being creative. You're able to express yourself in ways you may not be able to, whether it's culturally or socially or whatever. Like I don't know why, but I love making female characters. Like I'm straight white guy, but I enjoy making like a strong female character because I don't know, it's something about experiencing things in a different way, and I think that's part of it. I don't know. I'm not a smart man.
I think we're also currently in an upswing of really new players for this game. I know Critical Role has just blown up. Now Critical Role is expanding Xandria side series. Stranger Things, especially this past season, just brought D&D into a way more public light with Hellfire Club.
Yeah, can't go anywhere without seeing Hellfire.
Yeah. So are you excited for more people to take this step into this hobby?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I think everyone can play D&D. I don't think everyone can play D&D together, like, because some people want to play the hack and slash game, some people want to play the fuck around, do whatever you want game, and like some people want to play the exploration game. Like, I mean, there's a million different ways you can play D&D. I think the more people playing, the less gatekeeping there'll be about D&D and any nerd shit. But so I don't see any downside to D&D. Just don't be a fucking dick. Let people fucking play any way they want. It's not hard to not tell people how to live their life. It's pretty fucking simple to just let people live the way they want to live.
Um, so you talked about what you want Forging Fates to be and what you want it to mean as our show. But what does D&D and I guess just in general tabletop role playing games, what do they mean to you personally?
I mean, like I said, I'm not a super creative guy, so this is I'm not creative, but I want to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense?
Yeah.
So like this is a way for me to like scratch that itch I get. Because I mean, you talking about fucking being a nerd. Back in the day, I used to do like, I don't know if I doubt anyone's fucking heard of this, forum RPGs. I was in like a Harry Potter fucking forum RPG for fucking far too long. But like it's just like something to like satisfy that creative itch, you know what I mean? Like that's all. That's all I got to say about that.
And thinking about D&D and role-playing games, I just would love your opinion as you have been playing for a while. Why do you think that the fantasy genre has been like the biggest stickler in role-playing games? Because I know I had a past guest on here who was telling me about all these different kinds of role-playing games, all these things that were coming up that I had never heard of before. But I also know that there's a whole bunch of different settings and worlds that you can play in. But it seems like the one that is just grabs the most people's attention is that like Renaissance fair like sword fantasy. So in your opinion, why do you think that that's the one that grabs the most attention?
I mean, I think it's a few things. I think it's the fact that Dungeons and Dragons has been around since the 80s. They were the first on the scene, you know, as far as I know, the first mainstream one on the scene, I'll say that much. I think if you're talking about nowadays, I think D&D is just cornered the market on ease of access, especially in getting in it. Plus, I mean, there's not a ton of fantasy media, so people who like fantasy, this is one of the few places where you can really indulge in it. And like, cause I mean, there's a movie for everything nowadays. Like you can find everything, but there's still not a ton of like fantasy movies out there. I think that's part of it. Plus, you talk the Tolkien influences on D&D as a whole. So I think that's a big part of it. Like, as someone who's been playing a long time, like I've played GURPS, I've played like the old Star Wars fantasy, Star Wars game, D&D 3.0, 3.5, a bunch of different things. But like the games I want to play now are like Call of Cthulhu. I want to play Cyberpunk. I want to play. I think that's it. Those are like the two big ones. I want to get in so fucking bad.
What's your take on D&D 1? Have you been following any of that?
I've been following it. Yeah, I think they're doing some interesting stuff. I mean, it is all still playtesting, so
yeah,
there's certain parts I'm like, I don't think that's a great move, but we'll see. But I think it's cool. I hope they make this like the only thing we do anymore, because like I don't want a ton of rule books every 6 years because that's exhausting. So I hope D&D 1 ends up being like the definitive version and they make their money all other ways using it. But I think it's great. I would love to do like one shots on this channel. Like each time they put out a D&D 1 thing, we do a one shot, but it's just time and effort is not there for everyone all the time. But I like I was watching a thing yesterday, the expert classes they're doing and making like the rogue, the ranger, and the bard experts in like this overall group and giving them like exclusive features and stuff like that. I think is all super interesting. I think it's a great idea. The rangers have always been like one of my favorite classes. I think they're just thematically really cool. So Rangers getting like a good build, I think is like making them very comparable to other classes is good. They deserve that time to shine. They get enough stories written about them.
Yeah. I'm excited personally for the virtual tabletop. If
Oh
it
yeah,
comes out like the way that they're saying it.
yeah, it looks cool. I hope it works.
Yeah.
I hope it looks cool.
Yeah. They would really sink, I think, the market for any other virtual tabletops if we get an Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Cyberpunk and Call of Cthulhu. Are there any other like settings or genres that you would like to play in or DM but you haven't yet?
DMing, no. I don't want to. I don't want to DM one of those settings. Not at all. I want to fucking sit there and play like
Uh-huh.
a fucking 1920s Call of Cthulhu game. So fucking bad. It's it's not funny. But like I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a great DM. I don't know if I could take on more than what I got. Like
Yeah.
I got my niche. I can bullshit my way through our game. That's all
Okay,
I
but
got.
then as a player,
As a player,
other than Call of Cthulhu, other than Cyberpunk, are there any others?
I don't know. I can't. I'm struggling to think. What are like other genres? Am I missing here?
CC said Western.
Could be fun. That could be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, a Star Wars. Obviously, I always want to play a Star Wars game.
Yeah, there's sci-fi. There's mystery. There's just general horror games.
Horror is so tough to do. I feel like that. I don't know. You gotta have a good DM for horror. I feel like. To know how to play those beats and how to make that work. Especially in a long, like I don't know if you could even run a horror game long term. That has to be like a 1 or 2 episode game, right? How do you do that?
I don't know. I haven't been in one yet. So a different a beat to this question then. As a player, do you have any cool character concepts that you want to play?
I'm so unoriginal. I don't have an original thought in my head. So I just like see 6 things. I'm like, oh, I like this, this, and this, and I'll fucking slap it together and come up with something on the spot. I don't have good, like, I don't know. I don't have a good idea. I don't have good ideas. I just kind of make it up on the fly. Depending on what my group needs.
Oh, you're one of those.
Yeah, I'm one of those. I don't like coming in with preset things.
I was gonna say, do you create your characters? Do you create them from like your parts of yourself, or do you normally pull inspiration from totally outside things?
Like the characters I play, or like the ones I create for the show?
Both.
So the characters I create for the show, I'm like using random generators for everything. I need help because I just start fucking clicking things. Characters myself, for the few campaigns I was in, there were parts of me in them, I would say. But like I said, I like playing things that are not me. So I don't know. The characters I play best are closest to me, and like I don't know, the way I picture myself playing games is the characters that have some sort of part of me. I feel like I play better, but I enjoy playing characters that are not in any way like me more.
Do you find when you play those characters that are like very different from you, do you find aspects of your personality leaking into your play, or do you manage to keep it super separate?
My biggest fucking problem, and every fucking person I voice or play or anything like that, is sarcasm. Everyone is sarcastic in my world, and I don't mean to do it, but it happens every time. Everyone, yes, question like obviously.
Oh no.
It's like, I did it again. I wanted this person to reveal information, but they just came off as a sarcastic dick.
No. Do you have a favorite NPC that you've created?
In this game?
Any game.
God. I mean, I don't want to gush too much about that long game I ran, but there's so many characters from that I just, because again, I wrapped so much into that story around my players that there were so many characters and things about it that I just love so much. I don't want to go too much on a tangent, but like probably my favorite moment DMing period is, so one of my characters, she ended up like her dad. This again, all these things tied up in together. But
Yeah.
Donald and his other character's dad was the one that like gave this other character's dad PTSD, and he ended up running away and disappearing. In a nutshell. So she had a sister who was like transported off to the Shadowfell by their family because she had magic, whatever. So she spent her whole life looking for her sister. They end up going to the Shadowfell, finding her sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's in this castle with this like really fucking dapper dressed guy. So cool, like, all right, well, let's have a conversation. So she and her sister end up going off to have a conversation. And the team ends up like getting a tour of the castle with the dapper gentleman. Let's just leave. So you ever watch Naruto?
Yeah.
You know the fight scene between Kakashi and Toby, whatever the fuck his name is?
Yeah.
That like really calm song that they play.
Mm-hmm.
I wrapped a whole fight based off that song. So her and her sister go off to have a conversation, and they end up getting in a fight, and I'm playing this song, and it's just them two. Like, it's a ranger, and her sister ended up being a monk, so they're just like this fucking hand-to-hand fight, and like she's stepping back, she's shooting arrows, and it great choreographed, great scene fight. And then it like we're flashing over to the other side where the team ends up like finding out that the dapper gentleman is a shadow black dragon. And they end up finding his hoard, and one of the players, it like goes to pick up a piece of gold from his hoard. So he's obviously, it was like a test that he was putting them through to see what they would do, and he ends up transforming, and this other team is fighting the black shadow dragon. So we're like flashing back and forth between this really emotional battle and then like this really tough, dragon fight with only part of the crew. And it was just such a great fight, because by the time she ends up beating her sister, she's like able to kill her, and she's like, no, I'm not going to. And it's like comes down, she's like 1 hit point. Oh, it was such a great fucking fight. Like just such a great emotional moment for all the players. And like she was crying because she was dealing with this thing here. And the whole thing could have been avoided if they didn't like touch the gold. Like they could have convinced these two to join their team and like been allies to help fight the big bad. But then they come back because they ended up killing the black dragon. So they end up coming back with her sister. Like they finally kind of make up, and they come back and they see that they killed her husband. And then it just sets off a whole nother chain of events. And it was really such a enjoyable experience to DM.
Sounds awesome.
I don't know if that was any at all what you asked me for, but that's where I went with that. I forget what the question was.
It was your favorite NPC you ever created.
Oh yeah, that was probably my favorite NPCs, because they were that was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Realized I didn't ask you, but I asked the others. What would be your dream guest member on the show?
I don't know her name. She's a TikToker. She does she's in an online D&D game now, but she does like pickup lines in like from Michigan or something like that.
Yeah.
I
haven't seen it.
She's off. When I find her on TikTok again, I'll send it to you. But she's like, she's so into it, like her characters and stuff like that. When the clips she posts, that I think she's a reasonable level of reach for me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say like some of the crazy ones I've heard. Yeah. I want to go reasonable on my hopes.
Yeah. Awesome. I think that's a good.
Yes, Maisie. That's her name, Maisie.
I don't think I've seen her stuff, but I will. Oh. Thanks, chat. Thanks, Lil Stuffers. I'll have to check it out. I think that's a good transition to our cast most likely game. What do you think?
I'm gonna try and not spoil stuff here.
All right, so we're gonna go through a couple of cast most likely questions, and this part of the show is inspired by Cece, who plays Finnick on Forging Fates. All right, so I've got a list here. I want you to tell me which of our players or which of our
No
characters
stress.
is most likely to do these things. So, out of everyone on the team, who do you think is most likely to be the biggest flirt?
Okay. Whisper.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, she just doesn't give a fuck. I mean, I'm only going off of what they've shown in the campaign.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
bringing any backstory stuff into it.
yeah.
Based off what we've seen in the campaign, I mean, she's the only one who's flirted with anyone.
Not well.
Not well, but she's the only one who's gonna do it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. um, who do you think is most likely to lie?
Ooh. I don't want to say something just because of things.
Okay, let me adjust the question. Lie for no reason.
Tristan. just because he'd be like, I don't fucking care, and I'll tell you anything.
Who do you think is most likely to start a random fight?
Tristan.
Yeah, I can see it. Who do you think would be most likely to be fun to play sports with?
Sports?
Yeah.
Fucking God. Probably. I would want to say Whisper because she just fucking. Just because that would be a train wreck. She's like, what does this ball do? Just transforming to random animals. But if I was trying to compete, Gormrog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking Gormrog. Monk shit.
Yeah.
Who do you think would be most likely to rage quit a Monopoly game?
Clover.
Imagine Clover flipping the table.
just stabbing the fucking Monopoly board with a spade. Fuck this game.
And which character would you most like to trade places with?
Oh man, who would I most like to?
Yeah.
Oh god, that's tough. Probably Clover, just because she's like, again, I'm just going off what we know about in story wise. She would be the easiest to just transition into. Like, I'm just here for the experience, baby. But who would I put if there's one character that's most like me? Finnick.
And which character would be most likely to be the first one to die in a zombie apocalypse?
Tristan.
Aw. Sorry, Tristan. This one's similar to one.
He's gonna be out there.
Yeah.
He'll be out there. Not gonna last long.
This one's similar to one that I asked in the past, but a little different. Which do you think is most likely to become a celebrity in this world, in like Exandria?
It's gotta be either Clover or Whisper. Because I can see Clover like just kind of like just out there experiencing things like, oh yeah, and she just steps up, and then she's fucking famous. Whereas I feel like Whisper would turn a wrong corner and wind up on a stage somewhere and become famous.
I could see it. I still love the image that we have now of influencer Clover. Like, which character do you think is most likely to enjoy a trip to a museum?
Cornrock.
Yeah. Books and stuff.
Yeah. Learning.
Which character do you think is most likely to believe in conspiracy theories?
I want to say Whisper. I want to say Whisper.
I can see it.
You're being crazy.
Makes me think of FCG.
The world is flat, guys.
And then which character, this is the last one I have today before we jump into our next section. Which character do you think is most likely to have the best pickup lines? If they tried.
Ooh. Oh man, I want to say Finnick, just because like she's just the experience. There's experience behind those eyes. I feel like she'd come up with some fucking dark and fucking sexy fucking pickup lines.
I love it. Well, that's the last one I have, sadly.
Right.
But thank you for playing along. I love this part. But right now, I do want to open up to the chat for any questions you have for Joe. I'm gonna jump into the dicey question segment, or I'm gonna roll this die d20, and ask you the corresponding question to it. But while I'm doing that, I want you to spit out any questions you got for Joe. I'm excited to see what you pull up with. So rolling the d20 for our first question. That is a 6. Marvel versus DC.
Marvel.
And why? And why?
Marvel, the characters are better written, more fleshed out in their backstories. They have actual flaws, more relatable. Plus, Captain America. Come on, how do you know it's Captain America?
Is Captain America your favorite Marvel hero?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice. All right.
I'm a simple man.
I know that was normally people got some back and forth on that one, but that was easy.
Yeah.
Keep the questions coming in. I'm gonna do another dicey question. Oops. We got a 3. You have a team of 4 characters, fictional characters, to help you save the world. Who are you picking?
Save the world from what? Save the world from what?
I usually just generally pick your team.
Okay. Spider-Man, because he's the part of the team.
Mm-hmm.
This is from everything, right? So let's see. What else did I got?
It's a tough one.
Yeah. Princess Leia, because you need that heart and soul, that fucking smart, no nonsense commander. I'm trying to do something from everything, so let me think here. What else is it? What other fucking things are there? I can't think.
Anime.
I'm on the spot. Anime. Something from anime.
TV shows. Books.
It's a TV show I like. What are words? Ender from Ender's Game. He's the military genius.
Mm-hmm.
And I need a heavy hitter here, right? Because Spider-Man's kind of my heavy hitter. I need a big heavy hitter.
Need a tank.
Yeah, I need a tank. I need a good tank here.
Last one.
I mean, if I'm gonna choose something from anime, right? One Punch Man, easy option, but I feel like that's cheating. So let's go with. Go do something modern. So let's say Deku. Let's go with Deku.
All right. You're gonna just have to listen to him whine left and right.
Yeah, I mean that's what we got Spider-Man there for. He's gonna be like, listen, man, it's gonna be okay. We can do this.
All right, we've got a bunch of questions now. I'm gonna start from the top. What is the best advice you have from? Ooh, I can't talk today either. What is the best advice you have for new DMs?
I mean, I think I already said it. Just don't. It's gonna be. You're gonna think it's worse than your players will be. Don't be so stressed out about everything. You don't need to worry about making sure every dice roll's made. Just let it fucking fly, baby. Just roll through.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, I know.
We have a question from Dom. Marie Lynn's, how very dare you?
It had to happen. That's your own guy's fault. Sorry.
Was there, this is just my own question, was there a way that we could have prevented Marie Lynn's?
Absolutely.
Cool.
I mean, I've already said it. If you would have,
Yeah.
you know, confronted the frog man, that would have stopped him from actually going into Maryland, seeing all the bombs partially set up, and continuing the plan.
Dang. Well, another question we have from Nico Lavender. Forging Fates becomes really successful. We have a solid viewing, last a couple years, and get our foot in the door in the end world. But you can never listen to classic 90s rock. Would you take it?
You know what? I can live enough in the 80s and the early 2000s. I think I'll be all right.
Okay.
I'll make the sacrifice. Stop judging me, Taz. Jeez.
And in the question, it meant in the D&D world, not the end world. That was a typo. I was a little confused what that meant. But
just rolled with it. Huh?
Yeah.
It's the end times, folks. We're already here.
Ooh, this one's a good one from Kuma. If you were to give the characters their own unique weapon made just for them, what kind of weapons would they get?
I'm not going to answer that question because that's already in the works.
Oh.
That's rewarding my players with unique, mounts, weapons, that sort of thing is something I enjoy doing.
Cool. From Little Stephers. Since you are a known anti-dice stance, why do you hate the shiny math rocks?
Because I like to curse the gods. And I challenge all who would stand before me.
Ooh, this is a great one from Nico Lavender. If you created your own main PC for this game to join the crew, what would they be like?
If I could, oh god, join this crew, it would have to be probably either you guys need a battle master fighter, or yeah, it would probably be battle master fighter because you guys need something up front to help with like you know what the fuck I'm trying to say. Help enemies organize, fight them
Strategy?
in ways that, yes, thank you. Words, not easy. So yeah, it's probably what I would make as a battle master fighter.
Nice. How hard was picking the cast for Forging Fates?
Fucking damn near impossible, to be honest with you. Like, it got to the point where me, Andrew, and Don were like, okay, we need to just we need to make some tough choices here. Like, we liked a lot of people. A lot of the people like that we thought were gonna really like bring it right away. I think that was kind of where we were at. Like, who's a part of it was like who's already in the community, like who's interacting really well, and then a part of it was like who is gonna, bring it.
And then Dom is trying to stir the pot and asks, who's your favorite of the Forging Fates cast and why?
Of the cast or the characters?
He says cast, but I don't know if he means cast or characters.
Cast is Donald because he's my soulmate and my life partner. I've loved him for 20 years now, and we'll die together. We'll be married together. So sorry, guys. He's my man. Characters wise, I mean, I don't like that I have this point of view, but I have such a connection with Finnick and her backstory because I was so influential in it that I love that character a lot. But I mean, like I said, I love all these fucking characters. I think they're all amazingly written, but because I've had such an influence on a character, it's a little
Mm-hmm.
There's a little more for me there, I guess.
Uh, and then a great follow-up question to that is, who among the characters has the most unexpected backstory?
Should I answer that? I feel like
You don't have
that
to
could
say
be
anything about the
really.
backstory. You can just say, since you know it all,
I've
unless
fucking.
you don't want to.
I don't know. I feel like just me saying this person would be like
Yeah.
a spoiler.
Okay.
So I think
Well,
I gotta keep that one to the
pass.
chest. I'm
Pass.
sorry, folks.
Sounds good.
I mean, that's a great question, and the answer is a good answer, but I feel like that really reveals too much about that character's backstory.
Mm-hmm. And then from Kuma, would you prefer an overall BBEG or have the BBEG be made over time?
So I kind of like touched on this already. I have my main plot line.
Mm-hmm.
So who that ends up accomplishing that plot line is going to be made throughout the campaign. So it end up being nothing natural may develop throughout the storyline, so that person could just end up being made. But I will typically try and draw elements from it. But I mean, it could, if I'm not seeing anything work, I'll just make someone into that spot.
Mm-hmm.
But what I prefer, I always prefer like someone that has these things built up around them.
Yeah. Cool. If you had to change the class of one of our characters, what or who would it be and why? These are great questions.
That's a tough one because you guys all fit your characters so great. Like they're all those classes are so on spot for what you guys are. I don't know. I don't know if I would change anyone. Like if I was forced to. Just like tactically wise, I might change Clover from a arcane trickster to like an assassin, just to give you guys a little more frontline damage. But like that wouldn't make sense for the character. So that like that would. I love Clover as an arcane trickster. I don't know if I could see her as an assassin. I just don't feel like that makes sense for the character.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then, what's your favorite class versus class matchups?
Question is that? Oh gosh. I don't know. Barbarian first fighter is a good classic beatdown combo. You know what I mean? Like it's Bard versus Wizard. Like who's better at spell casting when you have all the spells available to you.
Mm-hmm.
Cleric versus Paladin. Like I like the matchups of like two people that do things pretty similarly, but who does it better? That would be my votes. Druid against anyone is it's not fair because Druids are the fucking strongest class. Level 20, you're just gonna level 20, you're just gonna shit on people.
That's true.
I'm gonna transform every time I take a hit, 1 hit point of damage, so I have infinite hit points.
And how do you feel about multi-classing, and what's your favorite combo?
Oh, my multi-classing, I don't like it unless you make your character work to it in the story. Like the people that are just like, I'm gonna take 1 level in Warlock because I want to get this one thing. I'm like, but you've done nothing to build up to that point. Like, if you want a multi-class, tell me and we'll work it into the story. Like we'll have you start reaching out and having the the build up to you taking that and having it mean something.
Mm-hmm.
But when people are just like, oh, I'm gonna take a level as a fighter, as a barbarian, so I get the extra action, like what's the fucking point of that? Just like why don't you take some time in the story and be like, all right, I'm gonna start actually training and like we'll work it into it. As far as my favorite combos, I don't know. I don't really multi-classes. I never really like put too much thought into like multi-classing combos because I just don't really have the time to ever play a character that multi-classes, I guess.
Have you not played a character that multi-classed?
I don't think so. I played a fighter. I played a sorcerer in my like the games I played in long term, and I played a bard in the games I've played short term.
I'm playing a multi-class character in one of my campaigns now, and it's interesting. And it's complicated, but also fun in its own way.
What is it?
They are a rogue warlock.
Ooh, fancy.
And it's all story based with my 12-page backstory.
Oh, is this the one I read?
Yeah.
Oh, that character is so good. That is a great character.
Yeah, he's fun. We got some more questions. So, Grog versus the Hulk? Who would win?
Hulk. Grog doesn't stand a chance with the Hulk. Hulk doesn't fucking. Hulk, you punch him and he just gets stronger. Grog's just a fucking barbarian in D&D. Come on, guys. Get your shit together, Donald.
Oh, no, Grog. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Grog struggles.
Yeah. Grog struggles with a lot of things. I don't think the Hulk is going to be, I don't think that's really a fair matchup.
All right. What D&D class would you give yourself, and what D&D class would you give the cast members?
Myself, probably fighter, like a dex base. No, I don't even say dex base because I'm too fat for that. But it's probably a fighter. But back in my day, I was probably closer to like a close range ranger. But now I'm probably just a fighter, barbarian fighter. You, bard, obviously. I mean, let's be honest here. Just the sunshine of the channel. Dom, I want to say like cleric. CC would be CC's tough one. What do I do, CC? Maybe barbarian. She's scary. Yes, Dom, cleric, because you heal motherfuckers. That healing, soothing voice of yours. Taz, what would it be? What would Taz be? Probably wizard, because she's fucking sharp as a whip. Joe, like gets in all the planning done. She's like, very on top of things. The intelligence person of us. Not that everyone's smart, but you know what I mean. Let's not get into this. Donald would be the rogue because that motherfucker is so fast.
That's a good question. Because you tell it. All right. There is another question. What is the favorite food dish you would miss if you lived in a medieval setting where our modern food dishes haven't been made yet?
I mean, this is a medieval setting, so probably like Korean barbecue because that shit's fucking on fire. Love Korean barbecue.
Yeah.
Give me some bulgogi, some kimchi, mandu. Ooh, my pop. Love it.
Yeah. About it. I think that might be all the questions. I'm surprised. I thought our cast would bombard you with more questions.
Yeah.
But we did have a lot. So before we close out, is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to share your socials?
I mean, my socials are all New Age Geek, so.
You want to share any of your personal socials? I don't know.
I don't know. My personal social is not social, so. I don't think I posted anything on it since I tore my shoulders out, so.
All right, well then, plugging next week's episode.
Yeah. So next week we will deal with the ramifications of a resurrection and the vow of that the team has made of hunting down the myriad.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't work good.
Well, that brings us, I think, to a great stopping point for tonight. So I just want to thank you again, Joe, for joining me on the show. And thank you to everyone out there listening, um, everyone in the chat for joining us and asking questions here at Goodberry Cafe. I hope that you've enjoyed your stay with us, and I hope you'll join us again in 2 weeks as we get back into our schedule. And I hope you'll join us next week for Forging Fates. Same time, same place. Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. But until then, I encourage you to follow and subscribe to our channel. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening.